Over to you, Dr. Ben. Okay, thank you very much, Dato. You see, I'm very glad, to be here. But before I start my presentation, I'd like to greet my friend also, Professor Dato Yusuf Kasim.
Yeah,
How are you, Dato? Thank you for being with
hello.
us today. Uh,
Yeah,
and hopefully, this event will also be beneficial because we'll be talking about cooperatives, which is also your, cup of tea. Yeah, you
okay.
are working very much with cooperatives. So, without much ado, I'd like to begin now the presentation because I'd really like, to have a conversation with you. Yeah. So let this be a very informal discussion. Can we go to the next slide? So this slide, this is always shown, in many lectures, whether you see a half empty glass or a half full glass. Yeah? Actually, they are the same. Yeah, but it tells about one's perspective. Yeah. So why is it that we have this kind of presentation? No? Because next slide. It's the same perspective when we look at the poor. Yeah? We either look at the poor half empty or half full. How do we look at the poor as half empty? When we look at the poor as failing, yeah, then that is a pessimistic way of looking at the poor. But we can also look at the poor as half full. Yeah? How? When the poor are failing, normally they are living independently of each other and they don't cooperate, they don't work together. That's why they don't have the power. The poor only have their human resources, they don't have the money. Yeah. But if a person has the money, he doesn't have to bring other people, he can just hire people. Yeah. But the poor can achieve overcome poverty and social exclusion when they organize themselves, okay? They cooperate with one another and they work together. Now, this is a very important message because in your job, I was talking to Panir, no? You are looking at what people are doing at the grassroots level. Yeah? It's either that you look at individually or you look at groups. Yeah? And Pani was telling me you are looking at cooperatives, you are looking at associations, social enterprises. This is very good because this is what we are going to talk about. Okay, next slide, please. So, what is solidarity economy? Social solidarity economy. Social, is working together. Yeah, it's about people. Yeah, when you say social, it's about people. Solidarity, of course, it's gotong royong. Working together. That's why this is an economy created by people who are working together. Now, what is the difference between enterprise and economy? Anybody? What is the difference between enterprise and economy? When we say social solidarity economy, it's about economy. Okay. Before you answer the question, of course, trees, right? The tree and the forest. To understand the relationship between enterprise and economy, you think of the trees and the forest. The trees comprise or compose the forest. There is no forest without the trees. But the forest is greater than the sum of all the trees. Right? Why? Because there are also plants there, there are animals, insects, water system, land, not only trees. The same thing with enterprise and economy. The enterprise decomposes the economy. But the economy is greater than the sum of all enterprises. Why? Because there are consumers like you and me. We are not enterprise. We're individuals. There are families. They are not enterprise. Yeah. You have your organization. You are not enterprise. The government is not enterprise. So the economy is greater than all the enterprises. Yeah? That's why when you talk about cooperatives, these are organizational enterprise. You talk about social enterprise, this enterprise, but they do not comprise the entire economy. Yeah. So that is why you have to define the economy that people are creating through gotong royong, working together. What is that, Because the economy that we have been taught in the class, is only making profit. Yeah? There is another way of doing economy. And this is when you generate income and you plow back the income to the community. Of course, some companies do that. How did you do it? Traditionally, when they make money, like Bill Gates, he sets up a foundation. This foundation only charity. Yeah. But there is a way also of doing these things together. Yeah. You organize enterprise, generate income, revenue, but then it supports your social mission. This is the job many of the cooperatives, some NGOs are doing this, So when an enterprise generates income in order to support what he's doing, this is part of social solidarity economy. So this is how it is, so many words there, yeah. But then, that is how what social and solidarity means, Now, there are institutions or entities that contribute to social solidarity economy. Yeah? It's there. It includes cooperatives, associations, mutual societies, foundations, social enterprises, self-help groups, and other entities, including networks and movements. Like Asia Solidarity Economic Council, we are a network. We are part of social solidarity economy. Or federations of cooperatives, yeah? Okay, next. If you have questions, you can ask me, because as a lecturer, you only have supply in your mind of information. But if there is a demand, yeah, then we can respond, what kind of information you needed, Okay. Social solidarity economy is rooted in our culture. Yeah. When all economies before were poor, we needed one another. Yeah. The Chinese, for example, that's why they have large communities, because they were poor ones. Yeah. When we were poor, we needed one another. That's why, gotong royong, sarilo, bayanihan, all these things are rooted in our culture because we were poor in the past. And then we became prosperous. When we become prosperous, we don't need each other anymore. Right? Yeah, because, we can go places with our car. That's why social solidarity economy is not foreign. Became foreign because when we get educated in the university, we did not go back, to how we develop the economy. Our textbooks come from the US, and they taught us about what the companies in the US are doing. Okay, so all of these are terms that define, what our communities have been doing in the past. And until now, it is very much alive. But in the Philippines, for example, bayanihan, it becomes alive during typhoon and disasters. Yeah? I don't know if it only happens also here. You have this landslide, yeah? Yeah? When there is, a typhoon in the Philippines, Filipinos all over the world, we contribute. Yeah? Bayanihan, gotong royong spirit still there, but only during the disaster time, Okay. Next slide. So in other words, it is not foreign, It is rooted in our culture. Now, okay, what are the types of entities or organizations that belong to social solidarity economy? Association, yeah? Now, many associations, they also generate some income, Like, for example, Rotary Club, I remember Rotary Club. Sometimes they have this business, But they do business in order to support their mission, yeah? Many associations, maybe Parent Teachers Association, they sell some flowers, then the income they use, to support their organization. This is why they are not for profit, but they generate income. Okay? So when you say for profit, what is in your mind? Yeah? Do NGOs also generate profit? They generate surplus revenue. You call it profit. But the most important thing is not how you generate profit, how you use the profit. Because in order to survive in business, you must make profit. You must generate surplus. You must generate income. The crux of the matter is, how do you use the income? Yeah? If the income is used only for the few, but not for the whole community, then there is going to be a division. Yeah, there will be hubs and there will be hub-nuts. Yeah, so this is what happens. You know? Cooperative is another form of organization that tries, to distribute the profit evenly. Yeah? Okay, next slide. Mutual society. What is a mutual society? Mutual society is different from the cooperative because the cooperative, they put equity capital. In mutual society, they just contribute. Yeah, no capital. That's why, because there's no capital, there is no return. Yeah. For example, an example is the rotating savings and credit. In Africa, it's very popular all over. We call this ROSCA, Rotating Savings and Credit Association. They just make contribution. Yeah. And then, if there are 20 of them, one of them will get all of the funds, let's say monthly, yeah, or weekly. So all collections during the week, the first guy will get it, then the next guy, and the next guy. That's how they do it. So the benefit is generated by everybody, but it is distributed throughout the period. Everyone gets the total. So that is mutual society. There is no return to capital. Foundation, I think you know this. No, the foundation, it's not for profit, but the foundation can generate business. Yeah. So the traditional way by which companies try to impact societies is like Bill Gates, set up a foundation. Yeah. Okay. But today, foundations also try to do business to support what they are doing. Social enterprise is a new term. Yeah? And this is the definition of the UN Task Force. It is a hybrid character, because it is registered as for-profit. But like I said, this is a different kind of, different kind of, how do you call this, mission drift. Yeah? Because many young people, they don't like to do business anymore just for making profit. They want also. That's why there is a mission drift. Yeah. Many young people, they go into business. They don't want to just, get the profit. They want to have an impact in the community. That's why I call it also mission drift. The cooperatives also have mission drift. Yeah. They're supposed to benefit the members, but some of them become so profit oriented. That's a different kind of mission drift. Yeah. The classical type. The social enterprise, there are many now, even in the Philippines itself, middle class people. They go into business, they don't want anymore just to get the profit for themselves. They want to give back to the community. This is the social enterprise. But they are registered as for-profit company. Okay, next. Self-help group. These are like cooperatives, but they don't like to register as cooperatives. Maybe because they don't like the term, or maybe because they are not qualified. Yeah. But for example, when you go to a village, there's a group there, then they do business, but they are not registered. Yeah. When you go to India, there's so many self-help groups in India. They pull their money and then they decide where to put the money. In India, normally they put it in a cow. Yeah, almost every family in India has a cow. Yeah, why? Because they milk it, and the milk provides protein, for the family. Okay, self-help groups is a group of people doing business. They have a business, but they are not registered. You can find them in many villages. Finally, social movement and network. One of them is our organization. Yeah, together with James, Dato Diniso, Professor Yusuf, the Asian Student Economy Council. We are a movement, we are a network, we are promoting social student economy. We are part of this social student economy. So, remember these organizations because what you are doing, you actually, going to the communities and documenting, yeah, what these groups are doing. Yeah. So now I'll be shifting, my presentation to SDGs because these organizations are the ones that also contribute to sustainable development goals. Yeah. So it's very important because it provides you a perspective. When you go to a community, now you can, determine what is the type of organization. Is this an association? Is this a self-help group? Is this a social enterprise? Is this a cooperative? No, but there are more. Yeah, there are more. Then you can classify, these organized groups of people. Yeah? And you can document what they are doing. Are they contributing to SDG 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth? Yeah. So this is the first thing that you might want to remember, that there are organized groups there and they are contributing to SDGs. Yeah. So not all of them are doing that. Not all cooperatives are doing that. Not all associations, but there are. Yeah, there are. And so this is one way that the UN is now focusing. Now, because Dato Denso is going to the high-level political forum of the UN, you will help him if, for example, you document this because this language is understood by the UN. This definition came from the UN. Yeah? So if your report is focusing on this, the UN high-level political forum will easily understand you. Yeah? And more than that, I was telling Joel, my message is for the SDG economy. I will tell you why later. Because if I tell you now, you might already go to the, to the Makan. But then, we have to go to how does this organization contribute to sustainable development goals. Let's go to the next slide. But at this point, is there any question? Okay, if not, then we can go here. Now, what are the core features of social solidarity economy? What are the characteristics? Yeah? How do you know that a cooperative, association, social enterprise, or maybe a foundation, or self-help group is really doing social solidarity economy? These are the features. First, it must engage in economic activity. Yeah. Why? Because we are talking about wealth creation of wealth, creation of jobs. So it must engage in economic activities. When you don't engage in economic activity, then maybe you're a consumer. Yeah. But if you produce wealth, then this is one characteristic. So if you go to a village and a group is doing a business where they are providing service and then generate income from it, or producing a product, generating income from it, then they are engaged in economic activity. That is the first feature. Second feature, they must engage in social or environmental activities. I was talking with Pani a while ago, and I was asking him, what kind of social activities do you document? What are the environmental activities do you document? Yeah? So when we say social, this is, concerning the social needs of people like education, housing, yeah, social protection, insurance, yeah, health, yeah. All these things, are about social, the social needs of people. Yeah? So not all business are producing, these products. Yeah? They have services. And people in the community, actually, they need services. Yeah? You and me, we can avail that because when we get employed, it's all there. It's packaged for us. We just deduct, from our salary, and you have insurance, you have all these things. Yeah? You have pension, all these things. But the people there don't have that. Yeah? So this is why when you say social, it's about the social needs, social protection needs of the people. Yeah? How about environmental? This is about conserving the environment. Yeah? There are many ways of doing this, recycling, reuse, and so forth and so on. So if, for example, the enterprise or the entity is engaged either in social and or environment activities, this is another feature of a solidarity economy organization. Third, voluntary cooperation. Why is this very important? Because if I were a businessman and I have no money, I don't have to cooperate with you. All I need is my money and I hire you if I need you. Yeah? But in the social that economy, you have to convince people to gather together and work together. It's voluntary. Yeah, voluntary. Associations voluntary. I think maybe some of you are members of association, and it's voluntary. ASEC, Asian Society Economic Council, is voluntary. Yeah, we don't have capital. We just work voluntarily. Yeah, so this is a feature of a social solidarity economy. Yeah, cooperative, they contribute voluntarily. Yeah, so they are not forced to cooperate. If the member doesn't want to be a member cooperative, is not forced to do it. Yeah? So this is another characteristic, that participation in the organization is voluntary. Entry is voluntary, exit also is voluntary. It's not mandated. Yeah, that he must be there forever. If the person wants to go out of the organization, he can go at any time. Okay, so voluntary cooperation. Cooperation is not forced. It is not mandated by any institution like the government or the private sector. So this is another aspect. Yeah. Next. The fourth is mutual aid. Now this, is very important because these entities do not have money. Yeah. Normally, because they are poor, they have to rely on their labor power, yeah, on their human resource to get together, yeah, for purposes of helping one another. So it's mutual aid, So the first beneficiary of the service and product are themselves, yeah. And then when that need is already covered or satisfied, they begin, to extend it to the other members of the community, yeah. So mutual aid is, very, very crucial aspect of what social economy entity is doing. And then the fifth is democratic and participatory governance. Why? Because, well, voluntary association, they get together, So governance is democratic. Yeah, they elect their leaders. Yeah, they participate in discussing their problems, discussing solutions. So democratic and participatory governance is present. But there are institutions like social enterprise. In social enterprise, because they are organized through capital, so what happens is that the person who provides the greater capital has a greater say. Yeah. So there are exceptions to the rule. Yeah. But because social enterprise contribute to social and environmental causes, that's why they're also included in this economy, okay? But most of the organizations that we mentioned, including associations, they are democratically governed. Next slide. Autonomy and independence, yeah? They're not created by the government. Okay, so when there is a institution created by the government, that is not a social solidarity kind of organization. It is an instrument of the government. Yeah. So they have to be autonomous and independent from the government. And then the number 7, their purpose, the primary purpose is really to help the people, yeah, and to see to it that they are part, of sorry. Okay. Or distribute, the fruits of their labor, what distribution. Okay. So remember all these things because later on, what I'd like to discuss with you is whether you could organize, a documentation, using all this. Yeah, we can help you there because we've been doing this, in ASEC. Yeah, and if you do this, I tell you, the UN, especially the UN Task Force on Social Solidarity, can be very interested in what you're doing, because the UN is now waking up to the reality that when you mobilize all these, groups in the communities, you are going to accelerate the progress towards achieving SDGs. I will come to that later on because why do we say that? Because the government, they register social enterprise, yeah, and the social enterprise is being monitored how they are contributing to SDGs. But because of the registration, very slow uptake. Yeah. For example, in Thailand, there are 115,000 social solidarity entities. How many are registered as social enterprise? 200. 16,000 yet 200 only registered. So you monitor only 200, and your population is 16,000, 116,000. Vietnam, they have about 20,000, only 114 are registered. Singapore, they have 6,000, only 350 are registered. Yeah. So this is why what the government reports is very minuscule compared to, the whole population. Yeah. This is why when you accept the concept of social solidarity economy and you monitor what the people are doing, you're actually contributing to accelerating the achievement of SDG. It's only a matter of recognizing. It's only a matter of documenting, right? It's not being recognized. That's why, But if we recognize and document and tell the UN, hey, look, we are actually achieving this because the people are doing this already. Yeah, it's only not recognized. So this is why it's very crucial that we do this because the UN already recognized that, hey, if we do this, we are going to accelerate. Now we are already 2000, we're going to 2003, 7 years from now. 2030, this is when we reckon whether we have achieved the SDGs or not. Yeah. Okay, next slide. So in ASEC, we have the 5 dimensions. I'm just going to show this because we have 5 dimensions. ILO has 7, But actually, we can sort of match them, We're just using a different kind of terminology. Okay, next slide. So, if you really like to know how the social solidarity organizations are achieving the SDGs, I would like to recommend you to download this. There's more than 100 pages. But if you can spend time in SDG Academy to really discuss this, you will understand what I'm trying to say. Because what I'm saying is coming from this publication. So I hope that you will download this, read this, and then really understand, because what they're doing here is they're saying this is SDG 1, and these countries, they have these examples, that are already achieving SDG 1. 1 to 17, yeah? 1 to 17. Now imagine if you do that, yeah? In Malaysia. And Dato will report to the UN, it's going there 2003. It's going to, it's going to attract attention from the UN. And, well, maybe UN Task Force might partner with the SDG Academy, yeah? The big bang. Yeah, that's why I was telling Joel, Joel, I'd like to talk to you. Yeah. Yeah. Because this is, I was telling Joel, you only impact not only in Malaysia, you have a potential impact throughout Asia. Yeah. If you model this, this approach, which the UN is already doing, That's why I recommend that you read this, and then you really study, yeah? You really study this because if you adapt this, and I tell you, I'll be very much interested to work with you because my friends, Dato here and James there, and now I have another friend and another friend here, Yeah. You see, this is not only for ourselves, yeah? Yeah. Of course, I know the face. Yes. Yeah. I know some of you, I know the face, but I could not recall the name, Yeah. But you see, what I'm trying to tell you is, this is now what the UN is doing. So you just step, and tell the UN, hey, look, we are doing this. And because Dato is a member, observer of the UN Task Force Social Society Economy representing ASEC. Yeah? How blessed are you? You know, your boss here is talking, you know, to the high level political forum himself. You know, so you are actually equipping him to tell UN, hey, this is what you want. We are doing it in Malaysia, and we're going to do it for Asia. Huh? Anyway, so let me continue. I will just tell you in brief, you know, what this publication is telling about. Okay, next slide, please. So you see, I'm just reporting to you the summary. Yeah. For each of the SDGs, the UN Task Force documented what are the cases from all over the world. You know, whether it is association, cooperative, foundation, and so forth and so on, that are contributing to SDG 1 and 2, ending poverty and hunger. Yeah. So this is how they monitor. Yeah. They are not monitoring, you know, cooperative and they are monitoring who of these organizations are contributing to SDG 1 and 2. Okay. Now you can do that also here. You classify it, no? Classify it, and then have pictures. Health education for all, SDGs 3 and 4. Yeah. Okay, next. And then you have 5 and 10 towards equality. Yeah. And then you have 8 and 9. Yeah. Decent work, innovation, sustainable growth. Yeah. Next. Next slide. Then you have 6 and 11, sustainable cities and settlements. You see, cooperative, social enterprise, community-based organizations. All of this, you know, there are organizations like them contributing to SDG 6 and 11. Yeah? So the style of monitoring and presentation is very focused. They're saying this is the SDG, these are the organizations that are doing something to contribute to this SDG. Yeah. So this style, you know, the method is very important. Yeah, because you can go to a community and describe everything, you know, what this organization is doing, but then it does not convey the message, you know, that UN wants to hear. Yeah, this is the message that the UN wants to hear. Okay, next slide, please. Then you have green and fair transition. SDG 7, 12, and 13. Next slide. You have life above ground and below water. There are also organizations, yeah, involved in conserving the sea. In the Philippines, we have, you know, group of fishermen. They are protecting the mangroves. Yeah? They are growing, they are protecting the mangrove, they are growing the mangroves, and they are even protecting the sea from those who are using dynamite for fishing. You know? Yeah. Next slide. And even 16 and 17. So this is how the methodology, yeah, of documenting. Yeah. You have here the instruments, organizations. You have here the goals. You match. You match. Yeah. Every time you go to a community, you determine what kind of organizations there, what SDGs are they contributing to. This is the way, no? If you do that and you have pictures, I tell you, this is going to be heard by the UN. Next slide. Okay, now, I convey this message, you know, in a way, in Bangkok, you know. I was telling them, hey, look, the term social solidarity economy is not very well known compared to social enterprise. I think many of you know social enterprise, but not social solidarity economy, you know. Maybe for the first time you heard this, no? But you see, if you know who are the organizations, entities involved in social solidarity economy and what kind of SDGs they are contributing to, that's already knowing what social solidarity economy is. Yeah. So this is in jest. Yeah. What social solidarity economy? Then I said, the bulk of registered social enterprise, which the government know, are very few. I already mentioned to you a while ago. No? In Vietnam, 114 only. Out of 19,000, almost 20,000. In Thailand, only 215 out of 155,000. In Singapore, 350 out of 6,000. The population is huge, and yet the one that is recognized by the government is few. So what is reported to the government is just, a speck. Yeah. So how can you project? What kind of outreach will you project by 2030 if this is the report that the UN will get? Yeah. Maybe in 2030 they will only have 1,000. Yeah. Why? Because they are not, looking at the other organizations. This is why, Zoel, it is your job. Yeah. Sorry. To make this happen. Yeah. Make this happen because, you see, it's also what I'm trying to tell the Philippines, we can accelerate the achievement of SDGs if we adopt this approach. Okay? So this is why, next slide. This is why I said, this goes to show that when the contributions of social solidarity economy entities are officially recognized and supported, the progress toward achieving SDGs can be accelerated. We can accelerate it. Yeah? And we need SDG Academy, to initiate this. That's also I'm telling in the Philippines. Yeah? And we are going to tell Indonesia too. Yeah? So now, another point that I made there is that the SCAP, ILO, the UN Task Force, must convene annually, a forum for the regional, and make this kind of report. That's why it's over, maybe 2023, our friend Jonathan, I think he's a Malaysian, He's the head of this division in SCAP, who is organizing the regional forum. When he organizes, I'm very sure, I hope that SDG Academy will be the first one to make the report there, in 2023. Yeah. So if we can do this, and you have, tremendous documentation, I think we can convince the UN that here, and even the governments, this is the way to convince the UN that we can accelerate the achievement of SDGs by recognizing these entities. Okay, so I think this is my last point. Next slide. Okay, this is, I have the next slide. Okay, before we go to discussions, and questions, my challenge to you is this. I'd like you to think much bigger than Malaysia. Because my wife is very much impressed of Malaysia. Was telling me, Malaysia is better than the US. She has lived in the US for many years. She said, I'm very impressed about the infrastructure. Malaysians are talking about, how bad their traffic is, but traffic is very nice and people are walking placidly. They look as if they don't have problem. This is my impression from my wife. When the husband has the kind of wife, telling you something, there must be something in it. So I said, wow, this is why I think the message, to SDG Academy is you transform, you reorient your documentation in such a way that you can connect, these entities to SDGs. Then run a training program. Run a training program so that you can train people who can do this kind of documentation and help you document at the local level. I think you have to allocate, some funds, to motivate local academies or local institutions who can help you in research, But train them to do this, Train them to do this. Maybe it's cheaper, yeah, if you equip them. So that by the time UNSCAP will run this forum, I will recommend, to SCAP, hey, first to present SDG Academy from Malaysia. And Dato, will be reporting this to the high-level political forum. I know he always conduct this, even at his own expense. He goes there in New York, at his own expense, and then he reports. So, in the Philippines, I have also initiated a training course on ACC, but for PhD students of the University of the Philippines, you know. Um, so, I thought that, you know, we had a discussion last night, and I said, well, it's very difficult, you know, talking to very knowledgeable people, you know. People in the University of the Philippines think they are very, very smart, you know. So it's very difficult to talk, you know, to people who thinks that they are very smart, you know. So the best way is to keep your mouth shut, you know, and then you just listen to them, you know. Yeah. So this is why. But, you know, what you can do is, if you really decide to conduct this training personally, because Denison is my really, you know, like a brother to me, yeah, and also James, you know. We've been helping together anyway, you know. Uh, I will be very much, you know, willing to be part of this initiative. Yeah? If you need, you know, my advice, I can advise you how to do this. For your information, it's not. I am the regional consultant of ILO for is a project in Asia, you know, and all these things we are doing, you know, we're doing, yeah. So, if this can be done, and then we can initiate it, my recommendation, Dato, is we enlarge this later on to include Indonesia. You know, we can conduct a Zoom training. You know, you organize it here. You can conduct Zoom, and then uh, spread this, you know, approach to other countries as well. Okay, I will end my presentation here, and if you have questions, you know, then thank you very much.